She was 22 years old, a free spirit, a dreamer. The kind of person who actually meant it when she talked about living differently. She had a van, a YouTube channel, and a guy she believed in completely. Maybe more than she should have, in hindsight. In July 2021, they left everything behind. 4 months crossing America, sleeping under stars, filming whatever came their way. The whole thing documented and shared for anyone who wanted to watch. And people did watch. God, did they watch. The videos were genuinely beautiful. The comments were full of people saying they wanted that exact life. The freedom, the landscapes, the two of them looking like they had figured something out. What nobody saw, what the camera never once caught, was what was actually happening inside that van. By late August, Gabby Petito was dead, and Brian Laundrie was driving her van back to Florida. Alone. This is Gabby's story. The case that stopped America mid-scroll and wouldn't let go. And the question that still sits there, unanswered. How does someone who supposedly loved you decide to end your life in a national park and then just drive home to his parents? Gabby grew up on Long Island, New York. She was the kind of person you remember. Warm, creative, genuinely excited about things in a way that didn't feel like performance. She met Brian Laundrie in high school. They fell for each other young, the way you do when everything still feels possible and the future seems like it's just waiting for you to show up. They moved to Florida together, got engaged July 2020, made a plan. A van, a camera, America. They document everything. The sunsets, the arguments about where to park, the random diners, the whole thing. Real life, posted online for whoever wanted to come along. Or at least, a version of real life. They left on July 2nd, 2021. The early videos were exactly what people had signed up for. Gabby laughing in front of canyon views, Brian cooking on a camp stove, the two of them looking like a travel poster for a life worth having. The channel was growing, comments glowing, but something else was growing too, underneath all of it. And on August 12th, it broke the surface for the first time. A 911 call came into Moab, Utah police. A witness had seen something. A man hitting a woman near a white van, then climbing into the driver's seat after she tried to get in first. The caller sounded genuinely alarmed. Police pulled the van over. What followed is probably the most analyzed piece of bodycam footage in American true crime history. Gabby is on the roadside, crying, visibly shaken. She tells the officers she has anxiety. She says she hit Brian first. She takes the blame, out loud, on camera, in real time, while Brian stands a few feet away looking completely composed. The officers separated them for the night. Brian got a hotel. Gabby stayed in the van. No arrests. They drove on. Sit with that for a second. Someone called 911 to say a man was hitting a woman. Police showed up. They found a woman in tears, and they left. 10 days later, Gabby posted the last video to her channel, both of them smiling, the Grand Tetons massive behind them. Comments full of people saying how stunning it all looked. It was the last time anyone outside that van would see her alive. On August 27th, Gabby's mom sent her a text. Nothing back. She tried again. And again. September 1st, Brian Laundrie drove Gabby's van into his parents' driveway in Northport, Florida. Without Gabby. His parents watched him pull in. They knew she wasn't there. They didn't call anyone. September 11th, Gabby's mother officially reported her daughter missing. Police went to the Laundrie house. Brian was inside. His parents were inside. They had a lawyer, and they said nothing. The case detonated across social media within hours. There's really no other word for it. Millions of people who'd watched Gabby's channel, who'd commented on her posts, who felt like they knew her in the way. You feel like you know someone whose life you've been following online. They all moved at once. Tips flooded in. Amateur investigators started pulling apart every available piece of information. TikTok turned into an unofficial case room. People were cross-referencing travel videos with GPS data, mapping timelines, building theories. It was unlike anything American true crime had produced before. And somewhere in the middle of all that, Brian Laundrie disappeared. September 17th. His parents reported him missing. The man the entire country was looking for had walked into a Florida nature preserve and vanished. The FBI found Gabby's body on September 19th. Grand Teton National Park, Wyoming. Strangled. She was 22 years old. Manual strangulation. Someone used their hands. The coroner ruled it homicide. Brian Laundrie was the only person of interest, and still nowhere to be found. Then October 20th. Human remains in the Mayakahatchee Creek Environmental Park, same preserve. Brian had last been seen entering. Dental records confirmed it. Brian Laundrie had taken his own life, but he left something behind. A notebook. In his own handwriting, Brian had written a confession. He said he ended Gabby's life. And then, this is the part that stayed with everyone who read it. He wrote that he thought it was merciful. Merciful. A 23-year-old man strangled his fiancé in a national park and described it as an act of mercy. The notebook never explained what he meant, never described what happened in those final hours. It gave investigators the admission they needed and left everyone else with a question that will sit unanswered forever. What the FBI's investigation did confirm: Brian used Gabby's debit card after her death. He sent text messages from her phone to make her family think she was still alive. He drove the van home. He sat in his parents' house while Gabby's mother was texting into silence, and his parents knew. Gabby's family filed a lawsuit alleging that Brian told his parents what he'd done around August 28th, before he even drove the van back to Florida. Court documents allege they contacted a lawyer and paid a retainer within days. His mother wrote Brian a letter that was later entered into evidence. It said burn after reading. The Moab bodycam footage is what people keep coming back to. And honestly, I get it, because the system had a moment. A witness called. Police arrived. They saw a crying woman and a calm man, and they made a call about what they were looking at. If that call had gone differently, if someone had been arrested that night, she might still be here. Instead, they drove on, and 10 days later she was gone. There's one more piece of this that doesn't get the attention it deserves. The coverage of Gabby's disappearance was extraordinary by any measure. National news, millions of people invested, social media functioning as a parallel investigation. And critics pointed out immediately, loudly, that this level of attention almost never happens for missing women of color. The phrase missing white woman syndrome entered mainstream conversation during this case. Activists used it to spotlight the hundreds of indigenous, Black, and Hispanic women who go missing and receive almost nothing from the media in return. Gabby's case didn't create that disparity, but it made it impossible to look away from. That's part of what this case actually is, whether people want to reckon with it or not. In October 2025, Netflix put out a 3-part documentary, American Murder, Gabby Petito, using text messages, video footage, and pages from her personal journals. The world watched again. Comment sections filled back up. People who'd never heard of her before sat with it for the first time. People who'd followed every update in 2021 came back with 4 years of distance. The questions are still there. What actually happened in those final hours? What did merciful mean to him? What did his parents know? And how did they live with it? And how many women, right now, are being hurt while the people around them make the same choice to look away? Gabby Petito wanted to show people the beauty of being alive. Big skies, open roads, that feeling of possibility you get when you've got nothing ahead of you but the next stretch of highway. She was 22. She had a camera and a van and a whole country in front of her. She deserved to come home. If this case got under your skin, if it should, subscribe to Cold Trails. Every week we go into the cases that reveal something bigger than the crime itself. The trails that went cold, but never disappeared. I'll see you in the dark.